Hey guys, welcome back to Sarcastic Remarks. And alongside my brothers Chris and James, my name is Ryan Chambers. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast of the Hockey Podcast Network. Go and use that promo code THBN the next time you go and use DraftKings Sportsbook. They're our sponsor for this episode of our podcast and all of THPN. Hey gentlemen, how are y'all doing tonight after this 6-3 win over the Detroit Red Wings?
Oh boy, I'm doing much better than I was last game. That's for dang sure.
So, actually, James, I'll let you get your first thoughts in. Any quick comments?
It just felt like we got a little bit less unlucky this game, honestly. The bounces finally just stopped. I mean, it felt like the last 4 games, like all the bounces were just going straight to the other team and straight into the back of the net. And that didn't really happen last night or tonight. So it felt a little nice to finally not have the unlucky goals. Granted, we still didn't play great in the last 4 games, but it's nice to finally not just have it randomly bounce to the other team.
I agree with Ardell. Nice hat over there, James.
It lights up. Wait for it.
It lights up.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that it lit up. That just made it so much better. All right, that made my day.
I had the exact same thing. I saw James' house, like, man, that's a cool hat. He's like, it lights up, and then he flicked the switch, and I lost my mind. It was insane.
Okay, that's it, guys. Have a good day. No, I'm just kidding. We have one more to get to.
Go to the Hanger, hanger.com.
Hat's amazing.
All right, guys. Well, first off, we want to apologize for Saturday, but honestly, it's probably a good thing we didn't do an episode after Saturday's game. We were all busy with work and other things, and Chris and James actually went to the game. Yeah. So that was a sucky game to go to.
Yeah, just so y'all know, when you do wedding stuff, it makes you busy. I didn't realize that would happen as bad as it did, you know?
Yeah. Well, welcome to being married, Chris. You're almost there. You got, what, 6 days? 6 days to go? All right. Well, let's go.
Gross.
Anyways, guys, Dallas Stars do win by a final score of 6-3 tonight over the Detroit Red Wings. Patrick Kane makes his debut as a Red Wing against the Dallas Stars. And there's some things going on for the Dallas Stars in this game that were very good. What's your initial thoughts about this game tonight, you guys?
I like the offense bounce back, obviously. I mean, doing a 1-goal game and completely flipping the script and getting 6 this game, that's exactly what you want to see from a bounce back. Especially love seeing our best players playing at their best again. That's what was super frustrating in the Vegas game, is that our best guys weren't showing up. And now there's definitely something to be said with Roope Hintz out of the lineup. He is a big deal, and we've seen this team do bad when he's not in the lineup, which makes sense. Your number 1 center, that's probably your most important skater, at least. So that kind of makes sense, but I'm just glad they all got it going. Even if it did take having Roope Hintz back, we do kind of need Roope Hintz to win. So I'll take it.
Yeah, it really showed how much better Roope Hintz is than Wyatt Johnston. That's really what Saturday's game felt like to me. After I was gone from the game and I got home, and I thought about it, was like, maybe matching up Wyatt Johnston against Jack Eichel is probably not the greatest matchup.
And that's no offense to Wyatt Johnston either. He's a fantastic player, especially for a sophomore season. We've talked about it. He's had a fantastic year. But
he's just not there yet.
There is a big difference between a second-line center / third-line center and a first-line center, especially when you're playing somebody like Jack Eichel. Like James said. So I fully believe Johnson really could be there. He could be our number 1 center one day, but it's not right now. And that's okay. We're fine. We don't need Johnson to be that right now.
It's kind of weird because in that game, you could finally see that he has room to grow, which is not something that we really have seen in the past season and a half.
That's the better thing to take away from that game, I think, because it's hard to see where he can grow on the Ben Dodonov line. He's like, well, this guy's great. He's the best guy on the line. But yeah, when you play him in that spot, you're definitely right, James. There's lots of room to grow there. And I think the only reason he was put there is because the Seguin, Duchesne, Marchment line has looked so good, you don't want to break it up. So in the future, I don't think we'll even see that. I think Seguin will go up anyway, just to make sure we're not throwing Johnson to the wolves there.
So y'all kind of already brought it up. So let's just get the negative out of the way first. But so what was the frustrating thing for y'all about the Vegas game? Because something I hadn't
That I was there.
you were there. But something I hadn't even considered and hadn't even thought about was the fact that, maybe the team was really, really feeling it from like a sickness standpoint. I think that had to have been an effect
No.
in that
It
game.
it really didn't feel like it. What that game felt like, especially the first period, this was especially true. The first period, we did not start great. They got the first goal. As soon as they got the first goal, we had instant pressure back on them for I think it was 3 minutes. We had in the offensive zone. We had them trapped, and they got one rush the other way and went in the back of our net. And then we started the pressure again, and then it happened again.
Yeah.
I mean, two of the goals were off of one chance rushes that they had, and that was basically all they had the whole period.
Yeah. So you can sometimes win games without your starting goaltender, and you can sometimes win games without your starting center, first line center. You can't win games if you're missing your starting goalie and your starting center. I mean, and that's what we had on the Vegas game. That might have been the worst game I've ever seen Otter play. It was definitely the worst one I've seen him play in person.
He let in
And I was
6
keeping-
goals
I
on
was-
20 shots.
Yeah. I was keeping up with it while I was at work, and at one point he had allowed more goals than saves that he had made. He had allowed 2 goals and only had made 1 save. So the thing is, I can't imagine how frustrated y'all must have been watching that game, especially being there. So, and this kind of goes with tonight's game as well. And since we're sticking with the negative first, we'll talk about the positive later. But even today, I felt like that the Stars were not doing as good a job as they have in the past with opponents' rush chances. It seems like they pick up the first guy, they pick up the second guy, but they're just not getting that third or fourth guy. And whether it's a defenseman not coming back and picking up that trailer, or whether it's a forward coming back and not picking up that trailer, that's something that I noticed tonight especially. And it was just that Detroit is not as good a team as Vegas is. I think that was one of the reasons why we got away with a couple of those rush chances tonight. But is there anything similar to that in the Vegas game that y'all saw?
No. I mean,
Not
the
really?
Vegas game, it really was Otter played awful in that game.
So
He did not help
it was
us
just
at
bad
all.
quality shots
When
that
the-
should have never gone in.
When
Is
the
that what
game
I'm
got out of
hearing?
hand, there was definitely some bad rush chances given up the other way. People wide open in the
Mhm.
middle of the ice.
Mhm.
Some slam dunks, but that was pretty much when the game was already over. I mean,
Mhm.
by the time it was 4-1, I mean, just you can kind of throw the
There
rest
was
of it out the
nothing.
window,
We
in my
had-
opinion.
We
But-
had stopped playing once it was 4-1.
I'm kind of chalking up this defensive failure recently to the schedule, especially recently. I mean, this is our 5th game in 7 days, 8 days,
8th game in
It's
13
insane.
days as well.
Our
So-
schedule has been
and not just the
Stupid.
amount of games, the quality of games. Listen to the last 5 games we played: Tampa Bay, Florida, Washington, Vegas, and now a red hot Detroit team. That's a
That has
hard
been-
schedule. That's a lot of good hockey teams. So, yes, this has absolutely sucked. The Stars are not playing good to boot, and probably a lot of them are sick as well. So, tie all that together, you get
Yeah,
some
dude.
pretty bad
I
hockey.
mean,
But if this
you-
is the
you-
worst we play all season, it's going to be a good season. But that's kind of the key. This has to be it. This has to be the bottom.
You can go back 10 games, and the only easy games that have not been against teams who are in a playoff spot, not a wild card spot, a playoff spot, have been the Flames, and we played the Flames twice. Every other team, we played the Avalanche, the Rangers, the Golden Knights twice. We played the Lightning twice. We played the Jets. We played the Panthers and the Capitals, and now the Red Wings. The stretch has been ridiculous, and this has all been within another 7 or 8 games in 14 nights. It's insane.
And it's been that schedule, and it's been when the Stars and Otter are playing at their worst. So, yes, it's not good. They need to play better. 100% agree. But we're gonna give some excuses because they kind of deserve some.
Both of y'all spouting off some facts here tonight. Good job by both of y'all. Lots of good points made. The the game against Vegas, I mean, do you really just chalk it up to that? That it's literally just fatigue and Otter not having his best game, and that's it.
That and
It-
Rope not being there. Rope not being
It's-
there and Otter not being there, really, we're not gonna win.
Yeah, and
He
also
was there
you look
physically, just not
at
mentally.
and you look at Panthers Capitals. That was our back-to-back game, and we got one game off and came right back in it. Not even a full 48 hours. And the both Panthers and the Capitals game, we were fighting till the very last second of the game. I mean, both of those were tough games.
That Capitals win was a very gutsy win, considering how it felt like all the puck luck was not going our way at all. So maybe we used a little bit too much out of the gas tank, and that kind of screwed us over for Saturday against a really good Vegas team. But kind of to segue into tonight. Tonight was great. Generally overall, and I agreed with some of the very first comments that I saw. And I'll go back to him real quick. I think it was Mato saying finally a full 60-minute effort. That was one of my first thoughts coming out of this game tonight, and the fact that that Lindell goal was huge. It probably shouldn't have gone in, but it was huge, and I think that changed the momentum of the entire game. In the fact that when the Stars had not had a lead for like 250 minutes, they had been tied for a while and they had been behind for quite a bit. So it was like over 250 minutes of game time. They get that lead going into the second period. And I think that just allowed the Stars to play a lot looser in the second period, knowing that they really needed that insurance marker and they really wanted to get it because we've had issues with that in the past couple of games. They went out and got it. That's exactly what you do. And the thing that I loved, they didn't relent on the pressure. We talked about that for months now. And the fact that the Stars will have a really good first period or a really good second period, and then the following period, they don't back it up with any more offensive pressure, whether it be on the forecheck or off the rush or defensemen getting involved or anything like that. And they did all of that in bulk during the second period, which I was like screaming at the top of my lungs. Not really, but I was super excited in the fact that we were seeing all of that happen in the second period.
Yeah, a few stats to back up what Ryan's saying. I'm agreeing with him. Dallas 8 shots on goal, Detroit 9 shots in the first period, 12 shots for Dallas, 10 shots for Detroit in the second, 15 shots for Dallas, 11 for Detroit in the third. Consistent shot numbers, at least keeping it close in the first and then topping them on both periods the next 2 times. So full 60-minute effort is definitely true. A lot of our other games, we've seen one period where we have like 5 shots or something crazy, and then we have 15 shots the next. It was a very consistently played, good game overall. And yeah, a few mistakes goaltending, couple mistakes defense, and you clean those up, and we're right back in business.
It was so wonderful to see. It was so wonderful to see, especially after the 6-1 drubbing that we took against Vegas. But one of the biggest things, and we got to talk about him, Otter. Otter looked like, I don't want to say he was like 110% Otter, like right on it the whole time, but that's definitely the best game that he's had in the last couple of weeks, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Well, he had a shutout against the Jets, so. But I mean, it's been that game and then this game. That's the only 2 games that he's looked like at least Jake Ottinger. I mean, maybe not absolute world beater. He didn't get taxed a ton in that Jets game either. But I mean, he's stopping what he's supposed to stop, and he'll stop some things that you should almost never stop. So, and that's literally all we need.
Yeah, he definitely. I'm hoping that he's figuring this out and getting back to the consistency that he had last season, which was keeping us in games even when we didn't deserve to be. That's how we won so many games last year. Otter kept us in, and that's how we won specifically, not just so many games, specifically the games where we would come from behind. It's because Otter kept us just right there where we're in striking distance. In the past few weeks, he's fallen away from that. He hasn't kept us in striking distance, and he's actually cost us a couple. But if he can get back to consistency, we're gonna be good, no problem.
He did not cost us tonight at all. If
No,
anything,
he's definitely a big part. He made some huge saves.
Yeah, the none bigger than I think it was on the penalty kill in the second period, and it was on Rasmussen, the defenseman from the Detroit Red Wings. Just 2 huge giant stops, and it wasn't like he was giant windmill glove save or anything like that. It was just really good positional play. He had his pad on the ice where it should have been. He had his glove over his pad, and it was perfect. It was a perfect, great save, and that's exactly what you needed in order to get through that. So, hats off to him and keeping us in the game, and especially that was when it was 4-2. So the Stars had just gone up 4-1. They'd just given up a quick goal right after that fourth goal there by Duchesne, and that easily probably could have changed the momentum for the Dallas Stars there tonight, and it would have been in the Detroit Red Wings' favor. And I mean, considering how we've seen the Stars play in the last couple of weeks, who would have known what would have happened? So seriously, he's a huge reason why the Dallas Stars win tonight.
Yep, agree.
Let's talk about some lineup changes for the Stars tonight. Was Dellandrea in versus the Vegas Golden Knights?
Oh yes,
I think he was because
Roope
Hintz was out. Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. So Della comes out, and obviously Hintz comes back in. And then they take Nils out again, and Hanley is back in tonight. So that's one of the storylines coming out tonight. Chris is ready, and I'm kind of teeing the ball up for him. Hanley with 2 penalties tonight. I was not super impressed with his play tonight, which normally I am. And I don't know if I can't speak for Nils' play on Saturday, but maybe y'all can. Was he justified in being taken out of the lineup and throwing Hanley in there?
I mean, not any more than any other defenseman, I think. I mean, they were all bad. He definitely made, I can think of one extremely bad play he made, but pretty much everyone had one of those that game. It was a stinker. But I can tell you, Lundqvist would have been better than 4 penalty minutes and 13 minutes time on ice.
But would he have got the shot through the first person, or would he have shot him in the legs?
You're right. Who knows?
He would have shot him in the legs.
He would have shot him in
and
the
also,
legs.
also, it's only important for me because it was Duchesne who got the goal, and he could not score for some reason. I mean, the goaltenders were just stoning him. Only credit to Hartley or Hanley because of the Duchesne goal. Everything else was terrible.
Well, Hanley gets his first point of the season there. And the one thing that I have to at least lay back on Hanley a little bit is that he had not taken any penalties up to that point until tonight. And the penalties he took were obvious. I mean, it's not like they were, ticky-tacky penalties or anything like that. They were very obvious, easy calls for the refs to make. Which, by the way, since we talk about the refs so poorly sometimes, I thought it was very well officiated tonight.
It wasn't okay. Chris is like giving us weird looks. Okay, this was about as good as you can get from officiating in the NHL.
It was very fair officiating, and that's what I always call for. I said call it even. They called it even, but man, that was a basketball game. I'm telling you what. Those were some touch fouls. And they called it on both teams. They called it too many men on ice, touch fouls on both teams. They called those touchy trippings on both teams. Sure, whatever. They called it both ways, but man, typically that is not how I want a hockey game called. But they were fair. I will give them their due.
They made the easy calls to make, like the tripping call on that Robo got the Stars on the power play for. That was, I mean,
that was
it was easy to call, but it wasn't really tripping all that much. But whatever. But okay. Anyways, let's get back to the defense a little bit because I want to talk about Suter. Man, was that a terrible goal to give up right off the bat. And again, I'm not trying to get onto him, but when Miro makes a really good play in the defensive zone, you got full control of the puck, and then he can't handle the forecheck of the Detroit Red Wings. He's not able to get it around. And we had been controlling the play up to that point. Like they had some other chances, but not really. The Stars had spent a majority of the time in the Detroit zone, and then it was one stupid mistake and one inability of Ryan Suter to get it out, and it led to a goal for the Detroit Red Wings. And thankfully, we're talking about a win tonight, and that wasn't a big turning point in the game. It was instead the Esa Lindell goal, but it very easily could have been an issue if Otter had not played well, if Miro had not gotten 3 points tonight. again, I'm not trying to like hamper on the guy, but it was a terrible play by Ryan Suter there on the first goal.
Yeah, we don't like him. Yeah, his ability to get the puck out of his zone is terrible, and that's a common theme for Dallas defensemen. I mean, Lindell and Hagapop do some decent work in their own end. Suter can make good defensive plays when he's not touching the puck, like James always says. He can do some good work, but when any of those three guys have the puck on their tape and someone's within 10 feet of them, you can just count on it being a turnover, pretty much.
That's not the
I
case
mean,
for Lindell tonight.
Lindell did much better tonight, but in general, for those three guys, I think more than 50% of the time, the other team wins the forecheck, which is pretty terrible.
Yeah. It feels really bad with Suter recently too. I mean, normally he just passes it to Heiskanen, and it's okay because Heiskanen gets the puck. But the last couple of times he's passed it to no one, and the other team has gotten the puck and they scored on it multiple times on him in the last like 3 or 4 games.
Him and Hakanpaa's favorite play is get the puck, don't look anywhere, and just chip it up the sideboards and pray. And that's all they do every single time. They never have their heads up. They're never looking around for an open pass. They just chip it up the sideboards, and if there's a point man there, then darn, we tried. And it's just a really lazy way to play hockey, it feels like, especially in the modern era where like zone exits can really lead to that, can be the thing that sparks an offensive goal. On the rush.
That's why the Red Wings didn't win tonight. It was because they couldn't get it out of their own zone. Honestly, that's how we won the game.
And that's why that's why players like Makar are such a big deal now. Those defensive guys who are good with the puck are becoming cornerstones of franchises because they're expert defense, of course, yes, but their own offensive mindset in their own zone leads to goals the other direction.
And that's very true, Chris. I think Miro does a very good job for the Stars in that. It's just we haven't seen a lot of that offensively this year like we saw as much as we did last year.
Well, I would argue Miro's is actually better at what I'm saying than Makar is. Like the outlet passes that lead to goals on the rush. I think
Makar just takes it himself.
Makar just does it
himself. He just takes it out and just makes ridiculous plays. That's
why he gets the offensive numbers, because he's the one taking it across the red line. But Miro makes the smart, easy passes from his own zone to spring the rushes.
Now, I want to jump on the point that James was making tonight, and that was another big thing that was kind of stuck in my mind, is the ability of the Stars to keep the Red Wings hemmed in their own zone, especially in the first and the second period. I don't want to say they took their foot off the gas a little bit, but they locked it down defensively in the third period, but not full bonus hockey, if that makes sense. But especially in the second period, like I talked about, I love the fact that they were keeping the pressure in, and there were points of time when it was all tilted towards the Detroit's ice. And especially when you've got a goalie who's, I don't know if his confidence is kind of faltering a little bit, if he's sick, he's not playing well, whatever. But if you can do that and tilt the ice towards that direction of play, then that will give your team normally a better chance of winning. So that's something that I love seeing, is that they were hemming the Red Wings in their own zone for a good portion of time. And even when they didn't win it down in the corners or down below the goal line, they were able to keep it in up at the blue line. And I think that was one of the big turning points for the Stars tonight, in that ability to do so.
Yeah, and on that point, I kind of want to sing the praises of the fourth line. They have been so consistent at doing that recently. And it's now actually leading to offense. They're developing it. It's not just getting that pressure and oh, great, we got the pressure, but we didn't get a shot on goal. Now it's leading to shots on goal. It's leading to cycle stuff. It's leading to getting off the ice, getting your more skilled players on and them scoring. We saw that with that Seguin goal a few games back. And they are really starting to figure out how to turn that aggressive style of play that they all can play with and turn it into points and turn it into, like you said, momentum going that direction. So fourth line has been doing a fantastic job of that, and they've been the most consistent ones on the forecheck for the Stars.
Good segue for this, because lots of comments about this man tonight, Sam Steele. He has really been showing his guns for the last couple of weeks. And, at the beginning of the season, we considered Dellandrea as the lock for the lineup, and he's been the one that's been healthy scratched. And Sam Steele has made it hard for Pete DeBoer to take him out of the lineup. And I mean, they talked about it during the broadcast tonight, and the fact that he's been a regular for the Stars over the last couple of weeks. There's been lots of comments in the comment section today about how well he's been playing. And one of the things that I really noticed as well was his speed. His speed tonight was so much fun to watch, especially in the third period. And I hope he continues that up, because if he can continue that up, that fourth line will. I don't necessarily saying that they have the same skill level as the top three lines, but if he is able to use that ability to really go into the offensive zone, bring some speed into it, that will give those guys like Fox and Smith a little bit more time to go and crash the net. And maybe that fourth line gets more of an opportunity in the offensive zone. I don't know. But I agree with everybody in the comment section and saying that Sam Steele has been playing very, very well as of late and deserves to stay in the lineup.
Yeah, that added speed is definitely a big part of why I think he's been preferred over Dellandrea. And also, James pointed out at the beginning of the season, he liked having Dellandrea more because of his work on the penalty kill. Sam Steele has showed himself to be just as good on the penalty kill as Ty Dellandrea is. So that's the other thing that's really forced him into the lineup and made him the mainstay. So yeah, fully agree with that. Sam Steele has been a fantastic signing. I'll eat my words from the preseason. Sam Steele and Craig Smith have both been really good for the Stars this year, and we've really given that fourth line a good, strong identity.
I just want to say that I was one of the ones who was really excited about Craig Smith coming onto this team, and I was really high on him. But I was not expecting this from Sam Steele. I wasn't. I'll be honest. And his ability to force his way to stay into the lineup. But I'm very excited to see what that fourth line can continue doing. And it's nothing against Dellandrea. It's not like he's been playing bad. It's just that we've got 13 quality NHL forwards, and he's just not one of the top 14, or excuse me, he's not one of the top 12 guys. That's all it is for me.
Well, Dellandrea is going to stay in the lineup, and he's going to be rotated consistently, because if you're playing a playoff series, he's going to be in probably every single series, I would bet.
I agree 100%. We've gone this far without talking about this guy, but Miro Heiskanen tonight. He has not been Miro the hero as of late. He's just been doing okay and eating up minutes like he has been. And he just hasn't been on his game as much over the past couple of weeks. And tonight he completely turns that around. And not only does he do it defensively, like it was highlighted after the first period, but he does it offensively. He gets gifted with the empty net goal. He ends with 3 points tonight. He now has 3 goals on the season. Like, he literally only had 1 goal so far this season. And maybe this is a turning point for Miro Heiskanen going forward, and him allowing to kind of take over this team and take over and do better than what he's been doing previously.
Yeah, I feel like this is the first time we've seen Miro Heiskanen in like 5 or 6 games. I mean, it's felt like he's been on hiatus for a while now, and is a big comeback game, and he really needed it.
Yep,
he does.
It'll be fun to see if he can bring that offensive prowess too, which is kind of what we really want to push for. It's hard for him to do when he has to play with somebody like Ryan Suter, which is probably the bigger problem that's holding back his offense. But hopefully he can find a way to still do that anyway, because I think it's really important for this team. And if Heiskanen can be scoring consistently, this team is going to be much more scary, because right now the only scoring threat is from the forwards. Stars are like one of the last teams in the league in defensive scoring. But if we can just have one guy, Miro Heiskanen, to be that scary person, it's going to draw a lot more attention to the 2 guys up top.
We'll talk about the guy who I think is the offensive threat on the blue line here in a second, because I thought he's had a good game too. But Miro, just for some stats for you, he does end with almost 26 minutes of ice time tonight. So a little more than his average. I think his average is about 24 3/4 or 25. So a little more than he's been. So, but I mean, and fully deserved, especially tonight. We really needed him tonight, and he stepped up, especially with time on ice. But the guy I was referencing was Thomas Harley, and This is really interesting because I think I know we talked about him and the fact that now he's in the top 6 for the Dallas Stars, and that's the fact that he took a step, especially at the end of last season. The last 6 games, we went 6-0. He was a instrumental part for the Stars in the playoffs and how he played. He ends with the second most time on ice tonight, not even above Ryan Suter, which is not a normal, even above Hakanpää and even above Esa Lindell tonight. Now, it's not much above Ryan Suter, but it's still notable because it's 20 minutes and 34 seconds of ice time, which is, again, above his average. So we might be seeing a new number 2 defenseman kind of come out of his shell even more, get more responsibility, and really start to see him blossom as this number 2 guy that we desperately, desperately need to kind of push some of these other guys that don't need to be in the top 4 down a little bit, make their minutes a little more effective, and maybe Harley can take those extra minutes and continue to be as effective as he's been. So
and
that's really exciting for me moving forward.
This isn't the first time Harley's had the second most time on ice among defensemen too. And there was one game where everyone was doing so bad that he led the team in time on ice. I mean, he really, if Ryan Suter did not play with Heiskanen and have so much chemistry with him already, then Thomas Harley would be our second defenseman and would be playing with Miro Heiskanen every single night, all the time.
Yep, and I think the only reason he's not playing with him every night is because we need another guy who can get the puck out of the zone when Miro's not on the ice. And I think that's the number one reason why he's hardly ever played with Miro, except when we're down by a bajillion.
I mean, I think he's gotten like 5 minutes with Miro for 2 or 3 games in a row now. So basically, anytime Miro's taking a shift that Suter is not with him on, Harley's on the ice. So and they always look ridiculous when they're on the ice together too. They're always in the offensive zone and they're always both getting chances.
One of the things it popped into my head while we were talking about this is maybe Thomas Harley can be the Devon Toews to Cale Makar. Like, Devon Toews in his own being is known as a very good defenseman, and he's even gotten Norris votes because of the fact that he plays so well with Cale Makar. Now, our problem with the Stars is if you take Harley off of that middle pairing or even on the bottom pairing, then your bottom 4 looks very, very rough. And I think that's why we're not seeing him jump up into that top 2 role that it looks like he's starting to progress towards.
Yeah, and that part of that, though, is that if he really can play top pairing minutes with Heiskanen, then you don't have to go out and get a top pairing defenseman. It makes it much more likely
a second pairing.
You need even like a bottom pairing that just can move the puck really well. You don't need someone who's going to make the team ridiculously better. You need someone who can get the puck out of their own zone, and that's it. And they take Harley's spot. Harley goes on the first pairing.
That's a much easier spot to fill. Not an easy one, but easier.
Yeah.
Easier than getting a top pairing defenseman.
Yes. And see, that's the thing that I don't think we're going to find at the trade deadline. Like, we of all the defensemen we've talked about, there have been some articles. Ryan, thank you, by the way. I saw that article that you tagged Sarcastic R in, and I did read it. But even out of those defensemen that some people are kind of speculating about who could be traded for by the Stars and come into our defensive grouping and kind of improve it, none of these guys are top pairing guys. I mean, to be totally honest, you're really not going to find that. And if you do, it's going to be a ridiculous price. And the ask is going to be something that I don't think anybody would really be willing to kind of pay for. And
Bork, Stankoven.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Chris. Bork, Stankoven, Bixel. I mean, any of those guys, that's something that I would not be willing to kind of trade for. Now, so here's the thing about Harley moving forward is if it looks like he can take that opportunity, and it looks like he is right now, then that makes it a million times easier for Jim Nill to go out and just get a Chris Tanev, who could be a very good top 4 guy middle pairing
Just
guy.
Chris Tanev.
Just Chris Tanev.
just
But
the defenseman everyone
but-
wants right
Yeah.
now.
right, that's the thing. Everyone wants him right now. But he is not a top pairing guy, and that's what a lot of people kind of say. Oh well, he's just a band-aid. You can throw him in there and it'll fix the defense. No, it won't.
He's a great second pair guy. I mean, he might not be a lock in the top 2, but he's for sure a lock in the 3-4.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. And if we could see him with Essa and Harley up there with Miro, that would be huge.
amazing. Put Suter
That
on
would be
the
huge.
bottom pair.
Please.
Oh, that sounds amazing, Ryan.
Yep.
Paint me a picture.
Yeah, I did. That was the whole point of that. I saw the ice time and my mind went dreaming. And
There's the vision. Now all we need is Tanev. Perfect. I'm sure he will come at a very reasonable price.
Here's the one thing about Jim Nill is he is very good about keeping his cards close to his chest. And I think like the Max Domi thing, I didn't think it was happening. And he was a big guy that was talked about. And all we did is we traded a 2nd-round pick for him. He was worth it for how long he was here for and for that playoff run. But I think he could pull something off that nobody is seeing. And there's a guy out there that could fit very well with Esa Lindell and just kind of do okay there. So I don't know. We'll see. I just had a really, really crazy thought in my brain. I'm not.
Do it.
Okay.
Say it.
Y'all are not going to like it, but, and nobody else will either. But so who do we need right now? We need a guy who can move the puck, right? And we need a puck moving defenseman. Who's a puck moving defenseman that might be able to come back around the trade deadline that is currently hurt?
I don't know who.
Oh, John Klingberg.
James read my mind.
No, that
It's Klingberg time, baby.
But on bottom
Bring him
pairing,
back.
it might be fine.
Bring him back. Bust out the dusty jerseys, boys.
Oh man, I hate you, Ryan. But it
again, really bad thought. Again, I didn't say it
Have
was
you
the
seen
thing,
his
but
numbers since he left Dallas? It's even worse than when he was in Dallas.
yes, I agree. And here comes the comment. Motto is the first one. No, yeah. So please don't, Jim. No, just don't, please. But
I'm into chaos. I think it would be great.
But
Let's
Esa
do it.
Lindell's former
Just like
partner, they
I
play
want
well
Kane
together.
and Klingberg. That's what I want.
Oh man,
Maximum
that would be
chaos.
crazy. Oh man, absolutely crazy. But okay, but anyway, it's fun to speculate about those things. Anything that I guess I should mention Lindell. Lindell had a very good game tonight as well. He gets a goal and assist in the evening, and
He was great.
the pass that he made, whoo, that primary assist, dang, whoo, man,
really-
and that shot, Robo, oh my goodness.
Razor said it best on the broadcast. He said it felt like it was the D-man's night to get healthy. And that was definitely true for everyone except for Hanley.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, there was a defenseman assist or goal on every single goal tonight. Literally every
love
single
that.
goal, there was a defenseman involved.
Need more.
Yep, keep it going, especially to bring up those defenseman offensive numbers. I had to think about that for a second before I said it. Duchesne with his tip. That was I was happy to see that because like y'all said earlier, he just been kind of snake bit a little bit. He's been good still offensively. It's just been on the opposite side of the score sheet with the assists.
Yeah. And it was even in that 8-1 game that we had against Tampa. I mean, he was trying so hard, and then the goaltender
Never got
was just
any
like,
points.
no. it was ridiculous.
Hintz with 2 assists. Steele, I didn't even realize this. Sam Steele, we talked about already. He had 2 assists tonight. I should have mentioned that while we were talking about him. Jamie Benn. Oh, that's so stupid. I cannot believe we did not mention that. Jamie Benn, he gets his 500th career assist tonight. And he also passes, I believe it was Neil Broughton for second all time in franchise history when it comes to points. And
I think he tied him.
Tied him? I thought he got ahead of him.
I'm pretty sure he's tied him.
Maybe he's tied. Okay, well
but he's gonna pass him.
He's gonna pass him. I thought he passed him, but regardless, no offense to him, I don't think he's going to catch the guy that's at number 1. but
Probably not.
he's probably not going to get there. But
He's
he
only
could pull an
500
Ovi.
points away.
He could pull an
maybe.
Ovi.
But he doesn't want to pull an Ovi right now. Ovi only has 5 goals in 23
That's
games.
true.
So
I guess Ovi
Oh,
finally hit
that's
the
so
line.
bad.
yeah, well, for Ovi it is. That's really bad for Ovi. But anyways, congratulations to Jamie Benn. He's beloved by this franchise. He's beloved by the fans here. And I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that one day his number is going to go to the rafters once he retires. However long that may be. And hopefully he goes down as one of the greatest Dallas Stars of all time with a cup ring on his hand as he's watching his number go up. So
That
that's
would
just
guarantee it for sure.
that would
That's what he
be
needs.
yes.
That's what he
that would be a prayer
deserves.
of mine. So okay, anything else about the game, guys? We're gonna go a little long tonight since we missed Sunday night, but anything else y'all can think of?
I'm just really glad that we didn't lose to a team with 3 lines.
That's
Yeah.
true. So that's a decent segue, James. So let's talk about that for a second. So I don't know what the deal is around the NHL right now, but there's just so much that was perfectly synchronized between the two of you. Sorry, I
There's
had
so
to
much
mention it.
hate. There's so much hate, Ryan.
There's so much hate going on in the NHL right now. First, you've got the incident that happened with the Red Wings, which is why they had to call up an entire line from Grand Rapids. The Red Wings did. They lost Larkin to a really scary incident. David Perron does something stupid. He gets suspended for 6 games, I believe, right? 6?
Yeah, it was
Maybe
6.
5?
Great suspension.
Yeah, that's a crazy suspension considering some of the stuff we've
deserves
seen.
it.
I mean,
Oh,
I didn't
I'm
say
not-
it wasn't
I'm not-
deserved, but
Yeah,
that is
but-
long.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I didn't like about it, though, is that there have been so many other incidents this year that I'm like, oh, well, that's sure. Like who was the guy that like swung his stick at a guy's head? Who was that?
Oh yeah.
I think it was Boston. I think Boston was
He
involved
missed.
in that. No, he got him in the head.
Oh wait, that's
What are you
not the one that
talking
missed.
about?
Oh, I must have seen, I must
No.
have seen the one that missed. There was
No,
one that missed. I
No,
know there
he
was.
connected with it was, and it wasn't like he connected with like the shoulder pads or something. It was with the guy's head,
Yeah.
and I think he got
that's not
like
great.
he got a
Pretty
fine.
good, bro.
You
He got a
know,
fine.
you know how the NHL works. If the guy's not like severely injured, it was probably fine.
Oh, but and it wasn't just that, but
Oh man.
it was who else was it? It was Gabranson from the Columbus Blue Jackets. He didn't like the fact that Nick Cousins kind of hit him from behind. There was no call on the play there. So Gabranson was like, that's okay, refs. I'll take it into my own hands. And didn't even try to like
He
hide it.
didn't try to hide it. No.
He didn't try to
He
hide
just
it at all.
he just beat up a dude on the ice.
Yeah,
in the
he
middle of the play.
literally. We talked about this right before we went live. He Donkey Konged the guy, like Nintendo 64 Donkey Konged the guy, and like picked him up, threw him on the ground, and just started punching him with his gloves on, and didn't even try to hide the fact that he was hacked off. So I think
we're
we're
putting
just
that on
getting
a
to that
T-shirt. He Donkey Konged the guy.
Donkey, like Nintendo 64 Donkey Kong the
He
guy.
Nintendo 64 Donkey Konged you,
it's-
bro.
It was so bad, and I didn't even see what had happened until like all of these some of my friends from Florida were talking about it, and they're like, dude, did you see this? And I was just like, I have no idea what's going on. It was either last night or Saturday, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like
Some crazy
I had
stuff
not
going
seen
on.
anything like that for a while. So what's the deal, guys, right now? Is it just we're finally like into that part of the season where it's starting to get real? Are guys tired? I mean, what's the
think-
deal with all the nastiness going around right
I
now?
think a large part of it is just how the standings have buffed out this year. I mean, everyone is constantly moving this year. There's not really one team that's pulling away from anyone. There's like what 2 or 3 teams with 700 points percentage, and everyone else is below that. That's the closest the league has been together. It feels like in years now. I mean, there is a lot of frustration building with these teams that feel like they should be better than they are. And I mean, that proves true with, I mean, the Blue Jackets. The Red Wings have had a very poor stretch after an absolutely amazing start. It's It's really like it's kind of strange.
The for the Central Division, as an example, 1 through 6 are within, let's see, 8 points. 1 through 7, 1 through 6.
That's
Sorry,
crazy.
that's just the Central Division. I mean, it is so tight right now, and it's making for some fantastic hockey games. And unfortunately, as we see in the playoffs, fantastic hockey games can sometimes lead to violence because this is a violent game with large men wearing knife shoes that are skating and hitting each other. So
Knife shoes. That's
That's
another
what they're
quote for
wearing.
tonight.
They're wearing knife shoes. Chris described it best.
yeah, so good hockey games lead to more violence. Sometimes unnecessary violence. It should be punished, but still enjoyed by us.
Now the one thing, and
Violent.
I don't know about
All right,
that,
so
Chris,
Chris,
but
you know that 8-point span that you talked about in the Central between first and sixth.
Yes, sir.
That there's between 6th and 20th, I think, in the league is in that same gap.
Same gap.
oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's
makes
ridiculous.
sense.
So it is extremely tight this year.
Well, there's a 10-point gap between first and sixth in the Metropolitan. There's a 8-point gap between first and fifth in the Atlantic, and then y'all already talked about the Central. I mean, the Pacific is really the only division that there is a very large discrepancy right now. And that's only because, and we'll talk about them here in a second, is because of the fact that the Oilers have not been very good to start the season. They've been playing very well lately, but to start the season, they just sucked it up and we're one of the worst teams. But even between first and third in the Pacific, there's only 7 points, which is, again, not that much. So I think this is good for the league. I really think this is good for the league to see, and this is what they want. They want more parity among the league and the fact that any team can win any night, even the bad teams.
And really, I think we are getting a result of everyone tanking last year for Bedard. It really feels like that. Even more now, seeing how good all these teams really are. I mean,
No
everyone's
reason to lose
suddenly
anymore.
everyone's suddenly within 10, 12 points of each other in it's 1 year, and everyone does it. No way. There's no shot.
Yeah.
Speaking
I like
of
the before we close this, I'm sorry, I won't let you segue. I like Joe Mama's suggestion as to why there's more violence recently. He said Christmas cheer is the reason that there's more violence. I think that's a great answer.
I very much like that as well. That's very funny, Joe Mama. Okay. Well, and speaking of teams like anybody can win, San Jose is 8-7-1 in their last 16 games, considering they had 2 games earlier this season that they lost 10-2 and 10-1 in consecutive games.
Come back here.
Go figure. Like, seriously, like, and also the fact that, the Anaheim Ducks, who are at one point 9-7, they're 10-17 now, and the San Jose Sharks are now only 1 point behind them.
Yeah, that's kind of sad for me. My boys stopped flying.
They won
That
one
is
of their last
insane.
10 games.
It got too
That is
cold and they
just
went
ridiculous.
south.
Okay.
None of those duck puns are gonna hit. What the heck?
That's so stupid, Chris.
I was gonna mention it, and then I was just like, no, that's stupid. I'm just gonna ignore it. But okay, there is a couple teams we can talk about, but we're gonna talk about one in just the interest of time. The Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers are out of nowhere. All of a sudden, they are the streakiest team in the NHL, and I guess they've shown that even in years past. They are on a 7-game winning streak right now. A 7-game winning streak. They have now brought themselves back to NHL 500, as James pointed out to me. They're 12-12-1, which makes them 4th in their division, and they are now a +4 in their goal differential.
And 3 spots from a playoff spot. 3 points from a playoff spot.
This goes to show you how crazy the NHL is this year, and I'm here for it.
They were 5-12-1 like 3 weeks ago.
And remember, they fired their coach, which we all said it wasn't his fault.
You
but then
said
they,
that.
huh?
You said that.
Oh, okay,
It was
then I
kind of
said
his
that.
fault.
Okay, I disagree, but they won 3 in a row, then they lost 3 in a row, and now they've won 7 in a row.
It's so weird.
I don't know.
They're
Go
I
figure.
mean, Connor McDavid finally got over whatever he was dealing with and decided, hey guys, can everyone shut up about me not being the best player in the league?
Yeah, and then he did this stuff.
And then he had like 17 points in like 5 games.
He was like 110th, I think 112th in league scoring before this 7-game winning streak. Guess where he's at now?
5th?
He's tied for 6th with 36 points.
Sounds
That's a
about
lot
right.
of points.
He had less points than Robertson, than Hintz, and Pavelski. And now he's the guy's a freaking nature, man. He's an absolute freak. So
It's crazy when your best player gets healthy.
yes,
It
seriously.
shouldn't be that crazy, but apparently it is.
No, it absolutely is. And it's not just McDavid playing better, but it's also Leon Draisaitl, it's Evander Kane, which, speaking of nastiness, there was that Evander Kane hit that he had on oh shoot, I forgot who it was.
Yeah,
But it was a
doesn't matter,
nasty
it's
hit.
Evander Kane.
What a stand-up guy. We love Evander Kane.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
He's a
but-
really good spokesman for the sport, I think.
No sarcasm there, Chris, right?
Nope.
None at all. All right, but I thought it was just noteworthy to kind of talk about, and James pointed it out, and I was just like,
That's stupid.
should we be scared? Should we be scared of the
No.
Edmonton Oilers going forward?
Yes.
No, never. They suck. Stick Miro Heiskanen on to Connor McDavid, and they turn into the 5-12-1 team.
That's true.
Okay, so James is not very high on the Oilers.
They're still gonna get into the playoffs, but
They're going to get into the playoffs. They're going to beat a
Yeah.
bunch of other teams. They shouldn't beat the really good teams.
Will they beat the Stars if
No.
if they goes that far?
No.
they don't have.
They do terrible
it-
against us.
They
That is
would
true
have
as well.
Both McDavid and Draisaitl will have to have another playoffs like they did 2 years ago, where they sent them all the way to the conference finals and still
But-
lost to the eventual cup winners.
But that's the scary thing about them, though, is that they can get in this mode like they're in right now, and they could do that, theoretically.
They could. They very, very much could.
That's the weird thing
so
about
part
this
of
team.
my-
Even in its state, it's a bad team. I fully agree with you, James. The team is bad. It can still win a Stanley Cup just because of those two guys.
Well, part of my point is they haven't been able to beat the best teams in the playoffs yet. Even that was
when they
their
were that-
hottest.
Yeah.
That was the hottest they have been in the playoffs ever, and they still couldn't beat them.
Okay. They're that hot, and their goaltender gets hot too. Then they can win the cup.
Then they can win. Then it
There
might
we
be
go.
possible.
All right. We got concessions.
Well, okay, so just because I'm curious, I'm curious to see what their last couple of games have been. So and like who they
blowout style. They've played in these last 7 games: Capitals, Ducks, Golden Knights, Jets, Hurricanes, Wild, Devils.
That's
So
still a
about
couple of
50-50
really good
on
teams.
good or bad teams. Yeah.
The
I
only
mean,
team
the Hurricanes dropped off a cliff. The Ducks have dropped off a cliff. The Wild suck, and the Devils have not been good this year either.
Well, the Devils, and I'll stick up for the Devils. They have gone through a ridiculous amount of injuries.
Yeah, but
The Hurricanes, you're right.
still.
They've been kind of rough so far this year. Really, the only team in there that I'm like, is the Ducks. All the other teams that you mentioned, the Capitals, who somehow have been lucky and been winning games. Vegas, that's not a game you stick your nose up at. Who else did you mention?
The Devils and the Hurricanes, and the Wild. The Wild.
The Wild have been
Wild is
playing
good.
better since they fired
they're-
their coach.
They're
So,
7th in the division still, right? No, they haven't. They played 7th in the division of the Pacific, 7th of the Western or the Central, and then they played 5th and 6th of the Metropolitan.
That was aggressive, James.
Okay, but still, they're doing ridiculous. That's the point.
All right, moving on. Let's kind of wrap this up tonight, gentlemen. All right, we have our Who Cares segment for the evening. This was not my idea. So the
The Who
person who
Cares
is
segment is top 3 plants. You know, the things that grow
Plants.
from the ground. Sometimes not they can grow from like the water sometimes. I've seen that. I'm sure they can grow
Hydroponics,
from
they call that.
hydroponics. That is what they call it. James is right. Top 3 plants. Let's start with the guy who loves this idea, Ryan, number 1.
my number
three.
1.
Your
Oh,
number
yeah,
3rd.
yeah, number 3.
Number,
Yeah, number
ooh,
3rd.
Ooh, that was
Yeah.
almost scary. Number 3rd. Thank you.
Almost
James.
Well,
gave up the surprise.
We almost
Yeah, I
gave
was-
it up.
I was gonna say my number 3 anyways. I wasn't even listening to the number 1 part, but anyways, maybe this is just because I'm a Texan, but my number 3 is a bluebonnet. I love bluebonnets. It's the state flower of Texas, and especially out here, you don't get to see a lot of them, which really makes me very, very sad. And that's one of the things I really look forward to during the springtime is getting to see the bluebonnets and especially the Indian paintbrushes together in a field. It's beautiful. I remember taking bluebonnet pictures with my wife right before we got married. We did our engagement photos in the bluebonnets down there in Wiley in Northeast Dallas. So that's my number 3, bluebonnets.
Good answer. Big Texan. James, number 3rd.
My number 3rd is a pecan tree. They grow to be just massive trees. They have lots
Big
of
tree.
nostalgia. Big tree, big nostalgia factor too. We used to have one in the back of our grandparents' house that we would always play with, and then there also used to be one at the Tatum Elementary School over in Farmersville. And I always remember going during recess and picking up those pecans and eating them, even though they told us not to.
And one tornado got both of those trees, ladies
Yeah,
and gentlemen.
so
Both
sad.
trees out with one tornado. Fantastic.
They
I
were
love Texas.
absolutely massive trees. Those were
Another
beautiful
Texas
trees.
plant, though. Good job, James. I'm going off brand. We're not going Texas, but we are going back with the flower. We're going with the sunflower. Several key features about this flower. It follows the sun for literally no reason. Didn't have to do that. It's just like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Not only does it follow the sun, it looks like the sun at the same time. I mean, how on brand are you going to be, sunflower? Almost cliche. Almost. Not quite. You want to know what is cliche? They get all cute, and when the sun's gone, they're like, oh, well, look, you look like a sun, other sunflower. I'll just look at you. Isn't that adorable? Just the cutest. And the final, and maybe the best thing, when they get all big and they've done their whole blooming process, you get the delicious, delectable sunflowers, which is one of the tastiest treats that has ever been invented. So, number 3rd, the sunflower.
Chris, I am really excited for your list now.
Oh, it's
You had a
great
lot
list.
of it. That's what I was thinking, James. Is like if he has that much explanation for his number 3,
I'm
imagine what
expecting
his
big
number
things,
2 and number
Chris.
1. Yes,
This is a great list. Y'all are going to love it. Ryan,
okay.
number 2nd.
My number 2nd is kind of boring because it's more because of the season, but I really enjoy poinsettias. I love poinsettias, and especially around
poinsettias?
Christmas. Poinsettias. Did I say that wrong?
Poinsettias?
Poinsettias. Poinsettias.
You might actually be saying it right. I don't know, but it sounds dumb.
Poinsettias. Poinsettias. I love them. They're very beautiful flowers, and
Flowers, technically.
they're whatever. This is a plant, okay? We're going
It
with
is a
plants. This is
plant.
not
I can't
flowers. So
disagree
I'm
with that.
considering it as a plant, okay?
You called it a flower, though,
Whatever.
so I was just correcting you.
Okay, I thought
I was
it was
pooping on your party.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it, Chris. Thank you so much. If it wasn't your wedding on Sunday, I would be a lot meaner to you, but I'm not going to. So, but
Thank you, sympathy.
anyways, one of the things that I enjoy about these flowers is they actually last a pretty long time, as long as you take care of them. And I always feel like there's other plants that you could, feed them and water them as much as possible, and they still don't last as long as poinsettias. Poinsettias seem to last forever, for absolute ever. So that's my number 2. They're pretty. No explanation after that.
I think you keep saying that word wrong. James, number 2nd.
My number 2nd is the cocoa tree because you get chocolate from it, and chocolate is the best.
Nice. My
Number
number
1.
2nd is the Venus flytrap because they're sick. That is epic, dude. You just eat flies and you're a plant? That is awesome. I keep watching these little TikToks of these flies dancing all over the fly traps and they get bodied by them. I mean, What a great time. Ryan, number first.
My number first is actually a plant I've never seen in person, but I have always wanted to go and see them. And so my number one plant is the redwood tree.
Good
I've never gotten to see these things in person, but I have seen so many pictures. The preacher from our church is originally from California, and he spent like 20 years there in California, and he talks about them all the time. And it just shows me pictures about just the enormousity of these things. It deserves its own word.
Yep, not a word.
I who cares? I don't care. I really
Good
really
answer on
want to
this
go. Now tell me if I'm wrong, because I sound
You're
really
wrong.
stupid, but I think they're in Yosemite National Park. Is that correct?
I think they're in Redwood National Park.
But there are some in Yosemite, is what I'm saying. I want to go to Yosemite because of other things, but they do have them there, correct?
I don't know.
Yes,
Why are you
no?
asking
Redwood
me?
National Park.
You're not helping.
James, number first.
Okay, my number first. I don't know if you noticed. There's a theme with my list. It's the cilantro plant. Okay, cilantro is the best thing ever. You can add it to anything, and it instantly makes it better. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, you can add it to guac. You add it to salsa. You can add it to corn. You know, whatever you want, and
These
it
seem
makes
to all be
everything-
Mexican foods.
It makes everything. It makes everything taste better. Everything. Thank you,
Rip
Chris.
to all the soap cilantro people, poor guys.
Right.
All right. My number one, everyone else is gonna hate this except for you two. It's the cactus, but specifically the cactus from Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Oh my word.
the one that Sokka drinks and gets high. That's the
It's the
cactus I
quinchiest.
want. It's the
It's the
quenchiest
quinchiest,
cactus
James.
juice that has ever happened.
It's very juicy.
And
too.
it leads to the spawning of giant friendly mushrooms. So that is
No
absolutely fantastic. I want to see a giant friendly mushroom.
Why couldn't you just say cactuses in general, Chris?
Cactuses,
Cacti.
Cacti.
cactuses.
I'm
See?
pretty sure you say cactuses, but
I'm
No,
gonna
it's
say
not. It has to be cacti.
Anyway, y'all go look up the cactus from Avatar: The Last Airbender. That'll pull up a nice little video on YouTube for you. Have a good night with that one.
There's all sorts of shorts and reels and TikToks about that particular scene from Avatar: The Last Airbender. So
It'll
find it.
quench ya.
now, not completely random, but have y'all seen that they're fixing to like release the first season of the Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix?
Yes, I'm very excited. I am way overhyped for it. Even it's probably gonna suck, but I'm way beyond that. I'm ready for it to be fantastic.
it shouldn't suck. I mean, they got the original writers on there, so there's at least going
Not
to be some
anymore.
continuity.
Didn't they have the original writers for the movie though?
No, they
too?
got rid of them really
no, not
early.
for the movie. They did.
What movie?
Oh yeah, I guess that's a good point, Chris. But I think they started off on the series, and then
I
I
think
guess
they're
it was
not
too
there
much for them. It
anymore.
took too much time. Yeah, they're not there anymore, but
So-
they were at least there to start off with, which gives me some hope.
I'd like to say I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm not very cautious, which is not going to be good for my heart when I see the episode and it sucks.
I am ready to be hurt.
I'm ready to be hurt. That is my response. I'm ready to be hurt. Okay.
Okay, Ryan. I hear you. I hear him yelling through his computer. He said Lake Tahoe 3 times. I'm guessing from talking about the redwoods, but either.
They also have those in Redwood National Park.
Okay, Chris, we get it. We get it.
It might be
Okay.
National Forest, actually. I might have just ruined my own joke.
Actually.
Actually.
Okay, we're getting off base here, and we're
We're
getting
done.
tired.
Bye.
Okay, anything else we need to talk about?
Nope.
No. Okay. We will be back with you guys on Friday. Well, Chris might not be. Well, actually, I don't think either one of y'all will be back, will you?
Nope.
I will. I'll still be here because I'll still be stuck here because I've got a concert on the same day as Chris's wedding.
Wait,
But-
I'm going to be gone for a while. Y'all aren't going to see me forever.
Yeah, that's what I was about to
I'll
say.
be
is that
here.
we're not gonna see you for a while.
Y'all better
I'll be
blow
here.
me some kisses. That's all I'm
No,
going to
I
say.
won't.
No.
You're gonna get plenty of kisses from Ellie, Chris. Don't worry about that. You'll be fine.
Well, now I'm
Okay.
going to leave.
Yeah. Any.
He's gone.
He actually left.
He left.
Okay. Well, no, he has to come back. He has to say GG boys. James, text him while I'm doing our outro here real quick. He has to come back. All right, guys.
Okay.
Anyways, for those of you that are listening live, we had up to like 23 people listening live. Y'all are insane. Thank you guys for doing so. There's even more that are listening afterwards. If you liked anything you heard tonight, this afternoon, this morning, whenever you're listening, please consider leaving us a 5-star review anywhere you listen to your podcast episode. We would like to say thank you to DraftKings Sportsbook as I try to stall for time. And go and use that promo code THPN the next time that you go and use their services, as you get a special little goodie from them. And as always, we appreciate them for being the sponsor of our episode. Along with Chris and along with James, my name is Ryan, and we will catch you guys on the flip side. We hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whatever you guys are listening. Chris did return. Take us out, Chris.
GG boys.
Bye, guys. Everyone say bye to Chris. You won't see him for a while. Chris, we love you, bud. We're really excited for you, and we're looking forward to many years of happiness for you and for Ellie. We'll see all of you guys else later.